Вітаю всіх. Так, чи чутно мене зараз? Угу. Окей, поставте плюсики в чат, якщо все ок зі звуком. Угу. Якщо мене не чути, можете або поморгати двічі, або оновити сторінку. Це вже як зручніше. Як дуже класно. Окей. Супер. Да, це прекрасно. Добренько. Давайте знайомитись. Мене звати Аліна, і я керівниця академічного відділу Solid English School. Ми 7 років вже допомагаємо IT-фахівцям прокачати англійську в роботі, для роботи, переговорів, інтерв'ю, ну і просто для впевненої комунікації в команді. І цей вебінар ми робимо разом з ITVDN, топової платформи для навчання айтішників. Тобто, якщо вам важливо не просто кодити, а ще й нормально комунікувати, то ви точно за адресою. О, круто, мені вже поморгали. Клас, дякую вам велике, тому можемо продовжувати. Добренько. До речі, я зараз стрімлю, можна сказати, що я стрімлю, да? Стрімлю з Харкова. На часах 19:01. Прекрасні новини, тож прошу вас також написати, де ви зараз знаходитесь, і ваш приблизний рівень англійської. Ну, щоб прям точно було все класно. Угу. Окей, все ще летять плюсики. Це ж хороший знак. Да. До речі, погодка good. Це ми з вами, знаєте, починаємо вже трошки смолтокати, тому що сьогодні ми задінемо тему смолтока. Угу. О, бачу, Чехія, B2, клас. Яке місто в Чехії? Ага, Кривий Ріг, А2, також круто. А2 – це прям топчик. Це такий, знаєте, солідний старт до С1. Там місяць-два і вже будете на С2. Ага, Полтава, Б1+, Київ, Б2, Литва, Б2. Вау, у нас хай-левели. Супер. Ага, ну, good. І як вам там? Як погодка? А то я почала казати за Харків, що в нас тут трошки, знаєте, клауді, трошки щось холодно. Чернігів А2, Київ А2, Канада Б2. О, вау! У нас така, знаєте, зборна солянка трошки сьогодні. Угу. Супер. Окей. Ні, це буде цікаво. Це буде дійсно цікаво. Да. Я просто хочу сказати, що основна частина, заради якої ми сьогодні зібрались, буде проходити англійською. О, також холодно, бачите? Ну, зараз всюди холодно. Да. До речі, про що я? Да, основна частина вебінару буде проходити англійською, тому якщо щось стає незрозуміло, хоча я тут бачу люди, та ви що, C1+, B2. Якщо щось незрозуміло, якщо якісь питання, якесь там слово, я дуже фенсі сказала, ви мене просто стопите, пишіть чатик Аліна, стоп, будемо разом розбиратись, окей? Поставте плюсик, якщо тут все файн. Плюсик? Угу. Ура! Окей. Прекрасно. Все, ми на одній волні, тому, я думаю, можемо починати. І, да, клас, полетіли плюсики. Ну, я щаслива, я дуже рада. Тож, трошки про мене, щоб ви розуміли, хто тут перед вами і чому я маю право говорити про міжнародну комунікацію. Я Аліна. Як я вже сказала, керівниця академічного відділу Solid English School. І вже 7 років, де ми працюємо з IT, бізнес-спеціалістами, бізнес-професіоналами, допомагаючи впевнено, знаєте, так, спокійно комунікувати англійською про правильні речі. Давайте так, правильно комунікувати про правильні речі. Ну так. Також за плечима вже понад, в мене особисто, 5 років викладання англійської саме для IT, плюс Кембридж Сельта з відзнакою. Кембридж Сельта, для тих, хто не знає, це кембриджська кваліфікація для викладачів. Дуже топова, дуже класна. Так, молодець. І також розробка курсів з General English, Business English, English for IT. Тобто я людина, яка знає, про що я говорю. Це такий момент. Окрім цього, я проводила вже достатньо вебінарів, освітніх подій, і знаю, що навіть дуже сильні спеціалісти часто стикаються з мовними бар'єрами. Тому, знаєте, сьогодні я буду той самий друг, який на вечірках виправляє ваше I am agree, але ми з вами тут не для цього. Сьогодні поговоримо про найпоширеніші помилки у міжнародній комунікації. Не тільки граматичні, а ті, які, знаєте, реально можуть заважати отримати офер, успішно пройти інтерв'ю чи донести свою думку команді. Тож, давайте перейдемо до основної частини, and that's the time we switch into English. I want you to put pluses into our chat if you are still with me. Pluses, please. And we can move on. Show me that you're active this evening. Okay. Okay, we have the pluses. Lovely. So you hear me, you see me, and you get the point. Okay. Yeah, this is good. So, top 10 mistakes in English. More importantly, how to fix them with simple and practical strategies. So let's get started. But before we jump into the mistakes, let's talk about why this event matters. So first of all, English, we know that the main language in global teams. So even if you work in the company where most people speak your native language, like Ukrainian, chances are still so high to communicate with international colleagues, clients, or partners in English. That's the point. The next one, even fluent speakers make mistakes. So many professionals think that they speak English well, but small or even tiny mistakes in wording, tone, or structure, they can cause global misunderstandings. The third one, miscommunication leads or slows down work and loses deals. One unclear email or message can confuse your team, delay project, or even make a client, question your professionalism. We will speak about this today, so keep in mind. Next one, it's different cultures communicate differently. I'm sure that you heard about that before. So what sounds polite in one culture may sound rude or too indirect in another. So knowing these differences helps you avoid, this awkward situations. So yeah. And clear communication makes teamwork easier. So the better you explain your thoughts, the smoother your work becomes. Because good communication helps you build strong relationships and grow in your career. So before we start, I don't know how many times I already said before we start, but I want to show you this meme. Now we know that communication matters. Let's talk about the reality. Sometimes things don't go as planned. And I have a question. Have you ever said something in English and people gave you a weird look? Like, what did you just say? Like, are you sure in what you're saying? Put a plus in the chat if that happened. And I will be waiting. Or minus if not, like, it's up to you. Okay, like, that happened. I got your smile here. Okay. I got it. Or maybe you wrote an email and that was misunderstood, so you had to clarify some moments all the time and send additional emails, additional messages to explain what you really meant and so on. Or even worse, you wrote the message that sounded rude when you didn't mean it. So I want just to say welcome to the world of miscommunication. And today we'll clean up this mess and make sure your English helps you and not creates problems. So let's jump into the mistakes. That actually happens when you attempt to adapt a Ukrainian idiom. Oh, yeah. I mean, we will talk about the idioms a bit later. That's really fun. That's my favorite topic, but sure, later. And one more meme. Just put pluses if you like memes, because I tried my best putting it here. I feel myself bad. Okay. The same as I feel myself good. We know it. Let's forget about this. Okay. I see that people like memes. That is amazing. Okay. Sure. So let's talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Small talk. Some people love it. I just adore it personally. And some people hate it. But in, international terms, that's an important part of communication. But what's the problem? Many professionals think that small talk is unnecessary or awkward. Like, why should I ask this question? Let's just come down to business. Let's just speak about work. Let's talk about the work that we should do, why to spend our time. But in international teams, relationships are built through, these casual conversations. And if you never engaged, you might seem distant or uninterested, and even if it's not true. That's the question. Would you rather work with someone who just says hi and moves on, or someone who takes a moment to ask, hey, how your day going? How's your day? Hey, what about the weather? Oh, I'm gonna grab some coffee. Would you like to go with me? Something like that. It even sounds more interesting, right? It sounds more engaging, like you want to talk to that person. So, how do you do this? I mean, small talk. Here are 4 simple strategies I prepared for you. Yeah, the first one, keep it simple. You don't need to overthink it, okay? A basic greeting or short question is enough. Like, hey, how's your day going? That's enough. Or, morning, busy day ahead, yeah? That's it. That's the question. So you just ask this question and you already show that you are interested, that you really you are into the conversation, you are into the topic of getting connections with people. So you are the person who will be interested in working with, like it, and that's it. There is no need to be, a stand-up comedian. Just open the door for a conversation, for a communication. The next one, use observations. It's one of the easiest ways to start small talk is just comment on something happening around you. Like, oh, wow, the coffee machine is loud today. Yeah. Or looks like everyone's in Monday mood. So I will ask you, please write in the chat any phrases that you would use in small talk following this strategic, so when you use observations or keep it simple. So your ideas. I gave you so many examples already, like 4. Let's try. Will you ask, hey, how much do you earn? Or not really? Okay. Okay. Still waiting for more ideas. I got your pluses. That means you're on the same page with me, right? Hi, I dropped the production database. Wow, that's impressive. I know, what do you expect? Okay. Oh no, snowing again. Where's the spring? That's a negative note, like, oh no, that's snowing. Yeah. I have a colleague that actually likes snow. So when we are in the meeting and it's raining outside, everyone is like, oh, that's raining again. And she's like, no, I love rain. That's so great. The weather is getting worse. Don't think about negative stuff. Come on. Oh, nice weather today, right? Exactly. Positive. Think positively. That's, I think, another webinar we need to conduct about thinking positive or something. Okay. The next one, talking about shared topics. And, if you're in a meeting, a Slack chat, or even a casual lunch break, talk about something you have in common. It's the easiest way you can follow. So, I saw you're working on that new feature. How's it going? Or that last sprint was crazy. How did your team handle it? Yeah, so something that you share in common. For instance, hey man, I fired. By the way, I was fired, right? It's passive voice. I was fired. That means I had the boss who fired me. So think about it. Okay, but I like this one. That was fun. Good one. Okay. So work, tech, travel, hobbies. I mean, anything that creates a connection between you and the other person. Okay. And the last one, it's avoid sensitive topics. Because we know that small talk should be light, easy. There are some topics that are best to avoid, especially in, these international settings. So do you think it's a good question to ask, like, hey, who did you vote for? Or, why do you look so tired today? Put a plus or minus in the chat if you think it's good or not. I just want to hear your ideas. Though I already said that it's avoid sensitive topics. No, of course no. Sure. No small talk. Would you like to have one? I'm not sure it's gonna be small talk, but rather a debate or something. Yeah, though we have kind of these topics like politics, religion, money, super sensitive topics of family. So I think you shouldn't, just shouldn't. I mean, go for it if you wish, but I wouldn't recommend. So there is a rule. If you wouldn't ask some question to a stranger at the bus stop, don't ask it in a work setting. So you see, small talk isn't about impressing people. It's about, again, making connections. Even a short, like casual exchange can help build trust and make communication easier in the long run. So now that we know how to start a conversation, let's look at another common mistake that I prepared, literal translation. So now, please write in the chat how you would translate this phrase. Я зробив помилку в коді. Give me your ideas. I heard you got a raise. That was a good one. But how would you translate? Я зробив помилку в коді. Any ideas? I need to put somewhere this ticking a clock picture. I made bad for my code. I made a mistake. I made bad mistake. I made a mistake. Made a mistake. Why do you like this word mistake so much? That's interesting. But here's the point. We shouldn't say mistake. We would say I made an error, or there is a bug in my code. And here is why. In everyday English, mistake, error, they are super similar. I mean, they're the same. But in technical context like coding, error, it's the correct term. And native speakers will always say like syntax error, code error, but not code mistake. That's the point. And here, Had a mistake in the code. Good one. But we decided it's an error. So what can be the problem here and how to correct it? We have to learn not just words, because there's помилка, so this is a mistake. That's why you translate like make a mistake in the code and so on, but that's not right. And actually, in English, we need to learn chunks of language. Chunks like phrases. Make an error in the code. Make an error in the code. Error in the code. So this is a chunk. You shouldn't change it anywhere. For example, we have a chunk. How is it going? How is it going? It's a chunk. It's not separate words that you learned the meaning and the translation somehow. No, you learn the phrase and you use it. And you cannot change it into messed up. It's like, wow, absolutely. You cannot say, how they go? No, we can't. But you see, I even can't come up with anything because that's something we just cannot change. That's why, remember the rule, we learn chunks, we learn phrases, not the single words. That's the point. Okay, let's continue. Я контролюю цей проєкт. What do you say it? Logical fail, yes. The thing is that error, it's something wrong in the code. Mistake, it indicates that you are not professional enough to complete this code. So this is like your personal mistake in it. So error, again, indicates that this is something in the code. The code. I manage. Okay. I'm in charge. More ideas. I rule. I rule the stuff. Okay. Manage. I'm keeping an eye. Okay. Any more ideas? Okay, revealing my cards. I actually thought that you would say I'm controlling. Overseeing. Oh, that's an advanced word. I love it. I thought that you would say I'm controlling, because I heard that some people say controlling. But yeah, you were absolutely right when saying I'm managing these projects, because the word control in English is much stronger than in many other languages, like in Ukrainian, for instance. And if you say I control this project, it sounds like you have a total power over it, almost like a dictator. But in a professional setting, we don't control projects, like we manage them. Imagine this. If you say I control my team, it sounds like you don't let them make any decisions. But instead, you would say, I lead my team. And have a look, again, chunk, lead my team, or supervise my team. The chunk, not the single word. Okay, and the next one. Для нас це кіт в мішку. I remember somebody mentioned about idioms. So how would you translate it? Any ideas? You know this song on Psalm 31? Still waiting. So that's me. A black box. Okay. Okay, that might be actually. What else? It's a black box. A shot in the dark. Oh, that's amazing. Okay. I thought you would translate it literally. That's why I prepared it like, it's a cat in the back. Oh, it's a cat in the black box. Pick in the park. Okay. Righty. Yes. It's also possible. I mean, depending on the context. Yeah, I thought you would translate it literally. It's the cat in the back for us. But yeah, idioms are the most dangerous type of literal translation, because in Ukrainian kit u mishku means an uncertain, some risky situation. And if we say cat in the back or something like that, no one will understand you. So the correct phrase is a risky deal, a shot in the dark. I loved it so much. Black box. So yeah. And more idioms that we cannot translate. You know, Сидітись на двох стільцях. What do you say it in English? Like, сидітись на двох стільцях. Any ideas? I mean, you already guessed maybe that it's not sit into not tables. Sit into chairs, right? Have my cake and eat too. Okay. I can guess that's double profit. I guess that the majority now came to ChatGPT and saying like, ChatGPT, please help me translate this one. The best, both worlds. Nice plan. Yeah, so the best, again, I'm saying the best translation will be, we are trying to have it both ways. Saying the best because it's not the only one. I mean, sometimes you, and not even sometimes, in the majority of cases, we don't say translation, we say equivalent to the idioms because it's just impossible to translate them and find only one idiom. That's why we say equivalence, right? Okay, good. So the key takeaway here for us, it's the direct translation might help you survive in English, but it won't make you sound natural. And if you want to sound more professional, focus on learning the phrases and chunks the native speakers usually use. Okay. And I think that we will move on. Here we go. Right. And we will speak about another mistake. It's being too direct or too indirect in communication. You know, different cultures, they have different communication styles. We all know it. In some workplaces, people are used to being straightforward. For example, in Ukrainian, like no extra words, no sugarcoating. In others, being direct can, you know, come up or come across as rude or even aggressive. And then there are cultures when people are so indirect that no one is sure what they actually mean. So neither extreme is good. And if you're too direct, it might offend people. If you're too indirect, they will just say, okay, and what are you trying to say? So how do you find the right balance? So we have the first one. You're going to translate. Translate which one? What exactly? Okay. Yeah, coming back. Yeah, we have the too direct, change this design. I mean, зміни цей дизайн, зміни цю фічу, будь ласка. But that's too direct. And we can paraphrase it to sound better, like maybe we could slightly adjust the design. The first one sounds like a command, you know? Imagine you are a designer who worked for hours, tried so hard, and gets in a cold, change it. That might feel demotivating. So the second version still gives like clear feedback, but in the way that invites the discussion. The next one, you misunderstood me. You misunderstood me. Ти мене не поняв. You misunderstood me. I mean, but the better will be, I think there may be a small misunderstanding. Or I think we're not on the same page, you can also say. So the first one sounds like, oh, you made a mistake. In what? But the second one makes it about the situation, not about the person, like you made a mistake. But, you know, there is a thing that we can adjust, that we can correct. So there's a small change, you know, to prevent this unnecessary conflict. And the next one, we don't do that here. Ми так не працюємо, ми так не робимо. Це так не працює. Also not the best one. And we will say, I mean, in the better one, I'm not sure this is the usual process. Like, I'm not sure that's usual. So maybe we can check. We can double check. So the first one just shuts down the conversation. Like, so, if so. The second one leaves room for some discussion because maybe there is a valid reason for doing some things differently. We don't know. So the main takeaways here are you don't have to be overly polite. Just be mindful of your tone and of what you are saying and to whom you are saying it, because cultures are different. Also, use softeners like maybe, slightly, I think. They help making you sound not weak and not that like a command. And if something sounds like an order, rephrase it like so it sounds like a suggestion. So you see, communication isn't just about what you say, it's about how other person hears it. And the right balance makes teamwork smoother and helps you avoid really unnecessary conflicts. But how to balance it? Let's check it out. Yep. The first one, be firm, not forceful. Instead of sounding bossy, like, hey, do this, come here, check this, correct this, there's a mistake. Aim for clarity, like, let's update this part of the design for better readability. Let's update it. Let's look what we can do. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, not forceful. The next one, it's funny. Don't bury your message under softness. Because I said before that you should try using maybe, slightly, I think, but if you overuse it, people might not take your feedback serious. Like, maybe there is a kind of mistake, so I think there's just a thought, but maybe you should correct. No, that's overly used softness. You still have to be mindful in using this stuff, in using this vocabulary. And match the tone to the context. A one word no in a Slack chat might sound, harsh, like no. That's harsh. But in an urgent situation, when it's urgent, it is effective. So it all depends. If you are in a brainstorming session, a softer approach works much better. So the main takeaway for us here is your goal is to be clear, respectful, and culturally aware. So next time you give feedback, just think, am I being direct but professional? Or am I too vague for people to understand me so they don't get it, what I want from them? Okay, now that we cover the tone, let's move on to another mistake. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, here we go. Oh, as an English teacher, I heard so many times that people say, natives don't use this grammar. Natives never use future perfect continuous. Natives never use past perfect. But the point is that if you haven't heard them using it, doesn't mean that 100% of natives don't use it. They use everything in different situations, in different contexts, but they use it. And we also have to, because if we make these mistakes, everything will go in vain. So down the drain. So there are some mistakes. The first one is mixing up past and present. And for example, I worked here for 5 years and I've been working here for 5 years. What is the difference? What's the difference? Can you give me any examples? Yeah, I like the comment here. For all you know, they might be dumping their speech down. Yes. So natives sometimes that they think that we don't get it. That's why they might not use some super fancy structures. So, but again, coming back, what's the difference? Is there any? Exactly. Працював вже не працює. Right. So, how long have you been working here? Oh, I worked here for 5 years. I mean, the first sentence means you don't work here anymore. Like, doesn't mean you quit or you were fired. What does it mean? What do you want to say with this sentence? And if I say, I've been working here for 5 years, that means you're still working here. Yes, in option 2, he's still working. Exactly. So you see, the first sentence is used to work. So if you still work here, you can use present perfect continuous or present perfect. By the way, remember, for two verbs, work and leave, you can use present perfect continuous or present perfect. No difference. But if you already left, you use past simple. You see, that's a small change, but it makes a huge difference. Okay, let's move on. The next one, I will finish this by Friday. I'm finishing this by Friday. What's the difference? Is there any? If there is, of course. Or maybe not. Or maybe yes. Or like yes, no, I don't know. Okay, commitment. Commitment what? What exactly? Yes, righty. So the first one sounds like a random statement, like, yeah, I will finish this by Friday. Oh, maybe no. Well, I actually will see. So it doesn't tell the listener if this is actually planned or not, or anything. The second version makes it, clearer that it's already scheduled. So how to choose here the right tense? If this is the planned action, for example, I'm finishing this by Friday. This is present continuous because you planned it and you're doing it. If this is a spontaneous decision, it's always future simple, like, okay, I'll do it. Yeah. So, hey, can you complete this one? Okay, yeah, I'll do it. So future simple, it's more about, think like that. Maybe yes, maybe no. I think yes, okay, I'll do it. I didn't plan, but maybe I will. So yeah. And if it is like strong intention, you didn't plan it, but you really want to do this is going to. So I'm going to complete it this week. I'm going to. Still, it's not 100%, but I have this intention to complete it this week. So using the wrong tense, the wrong one, can make you sound like unsure, even if you aren't. That's the point. Okay, and the last one is, I'm understanding you and I understand. So I'm sure that the majority of you know these state verbs, and we know that some verbs in English don't use continuous, even if they do in other languages, like in Ukrainian, я розумію тебе, and you automatically want to say I'm understanding, but no, you just can't, and this is impossible. So a good rule, if the verb is about a state, like understand, believe, know, like, want, need, or a feeling is like, this sense verb, see, hear, smell, all about perception. And possession is to have something, to own something, belong. It probably doesn't need ing ending. So, yeah. I'm currently engaged in the process of understanding you. Wow, that sounds fancy, but you would say I'm engaged in the process. We don't use the word understand continuous. Exactly. Though sometimes you might hear it in some speech, in some native speech, in informal. By the way, informal communication, it's possible. So I'm not saying that they are not using it at all, but still. Okay, let's continue. And we'll move on to the next common mistake. What happens when we don't clarify things properly? And let me tell you a quick story. So a senior business analyst someone with years of experience, was leading a brief with the client. She asked all the right questions and the client gave detailed answers. Sounded good, right? So that sounds good. Questions, answers. Okay. But here's the problem. Every time the client spoke, she just nodded and said, yeah, okay. Okay. And moved on to the next question. No follow-ups, no clarification, no engagement. And later, the client, that's by the way the real story, I'm not just making it up. The client went to her manager with a complaint like, I felt like I was talking to a robot. It was a cold, one-side conversation. What went wrong? Give me your ideas. What do you think went wrong here? Still waiting. Okay. No questions. Yeah. I would say no follow-ups, right? No clarification. Yes, exactly. So on this slide, you see, assuming you understand leads to hidden mistakes. So you hear something and think, okay, I get it. But do you really? Do you really get it? The better version will be just to confirm it. So like, okay, just to clarify, when you say, does it mean, For example, when you say we have to update the plan, does it mean we have to eliminate these stages? Just to clarify, and that's it. Then, giving vague instructions leads to delay and frustration. No personal opinions from another side. Exactly, you're right. Right. So, for example, can you make the report clearer? I mean, what does it mean clearer? I mean, to add more visuals, less text, what do you want? The better version will be clarify what exactly you need. So, hey, can you add the summary at the top and highlight key metrics? That will be better, right? Imagine that I'm writing to you, hey, I'm sure that somewhere we have Anne here among our listeners. Hey, Anne, could you send me that report? What report? What do you want from me? What report? When do you need it? What's the deadline? What for? Maybe I should be prepared. Maybe I should text them. So you see it, right? That's why it's so important to give clear instructions, to give exactly what you need and what you want from the interlocutor, from the person who you speak to. And the next one, not following up leads to disengaged teams. So you give feedback, but never check if it was understood or implemented. What's the point of this feedback, right? So the better will be to ask, hey, how's the report coming along? Need any clarification or do you need any help? And so on. So the key takeaways here are good communication isn't just talking. It's not talking. It's confirming, clarifying, and following up. And when you do that, people feel heard, mistakes are avoided, and work runs much smoother. We all know that. And now I want to focus on not clear and concise communication. I mean, you wanted to sound clear and concise, so just do this by Monday, 12 p.m., waiting. That's clear, concise. Okay, let's focus on the next mistake that we, for some reason, we avoid. I don't know. It's listening. So the more I work with people, the more I understand that people can't listen. So bad communication can, of course, make conversation feel robotic and frustrated. but how to fix it, it's to listen properly. Here are some strategies that I want to show you. The first one is using echo and paraphrasing. I mean, have you ever explained something to someone and their response was okay? Not reassuring, right? What okay? So instead, you can repeat and paraphrase what they said to show that you understood. Like, so what you're saying is that we should change the deadline to next week, right? Again, just clarify, paraphrase, and show that you really listen to what the speaker was saying. I mean, if you are sitting right now next to me, I would ask you definitely to paraphrase what I was just speaking about. Okay, next one. Ask clarifying question. A huge mistake people make, assuming they understand correctly. Got it. Really? I mean, what exactly? Are you sure? Do you mean we should focus on fixing bug first before testing? Again, it avoids, I would say you avoid costly miscommunication and it keeps conversation flowing naturally. That's the point. And the third one, respond. Don't just react. You know, it's kind of philosophical. Because have you ever given an idea and the other person's just, wow. That's the reaction, not the response. And how does it feel? Not really good, yeah? So instead, try to engage with the idea. Like, okay, that makes sense now. Okay, I see what you mean here. Or, I can see why this approach would be more efficient. So when you do this, people see as someone who there's someone who actually listens to and they values their input. So the final and key takeaway is repeat key ideas to confirm understanding. Also, ask clarifying questions and respond in the way that shows engagement, not just passive agreeing like, and what? So yeah, okay. Righty. So let's speak about that. It would be great to extend at the same time. Cautious too. Don't interrupt the client. Sure. We're not speaking here about interruption, but more about, clarification of some things. Yep. Okay, and we move on to our next mistake we can make. Imagine you are coming to the meeting and someone says, we should endeavor to facilitate the integration of cutting-edge AI-powered paradigm shifts in our workflow methodologies. What? What does it even mean? Are they genius or just plain corporate buzzword bingo? The problem here is that sounds fancy and that sounds super sophisticated. But do other people understand what you really want from them and what you mean? And that can be the problem. That can be the problem here. So, too complex, people don't understand you. Too simple, you might sound unprofessional. Too much jargon, you confuse everyone except your own team. So, mistake one, overly complex words, confusing and unnecessary. If your audience has to pause and think, wait, what does it mean? You already lost them. So think about AI-generated texts. They sound smart. They sound wow. But each time AI generates text for me, I have to write, okay, make it sound less AI and more human-like. Yeah, so it gets me. It gets what I want. And that's how humans talk. The next one, too simple equals unprofessional or vague. On the other flip side, being too simple can make you sound unprepared or even unprofessional when saying, oh, this is bad. I mean, it's okay, but it's too simple, right? That's why we can say, This approach has some challenges, and let's explore the solutions. So, which one sounds more professional? Oh, that's bad? Or let's explore the solutions? I think that's okay. Yes, it's important to take into account who's in front of you. Sure. That's up to the audience who you're talking to interlocutor. And the jargon and buzzwords, they don't always help. We all know someone who loves, dropping words like synergy or leverage without actually saying anything useful. They just like these words. So jargon can be helpful, but only if your audience understands it. If not, it's just a noise. That's the point. Okay. And the last problem that we will talk about today, it's the cultural differences. Ukraine versus US. Okay. The thing is that, okay, I will have a question for you. Ever had someone from another country say something that felt too direct or too sugar-coated? I heard that opinion that Americans, they speak in a very sugar-coated way. Oh, that's such a nice approach you're using here, but I would actually update it in the way that, it sounds fake for some people, but there's the difference between cultures. Some cultures are low context, while others are high context. What does it mean? Ukraine, it's actually a low context culture. Low context culture are all about direct, straightforward communication. People say exactly what they mean. There is no need to decode hidden messages and read between the lines. Yeah, we all know how Ukrainians speak. We are. So if we're given feedback, we will say, this report has errors. Please fix it. That's it. I mean, no small talk, no sugarcoating. The expectation, you will fix the issues and you will move on. So how this can be understood? To another Ukrainian, like, no problem, just clear communication and conversation. But to an American, wow, that's too harsh. Yeah, that's too harsh. On the other side, US, it's a high context culture. High context cultures, they rely more on indirect communication, this polite phrasing, nonverbal signals. The real message is often hidden between the lines. For example, let's come back to this situation about feedback, but from an American manager. They will say, hey, great job on this one. I really like the structure. I just have a few small suggestions. Maybe we could tweak some of the numbers a little. So to another American, it's like, okay, I need to make a few changes. But to a Ukrainian, it sounds like, wow, that's great. Just tiny adjustments, not big deal. But in reality, a few small suggestions might mean a lot of changes. So if a Ukrainian joins a US meeting, they might think, why are we still talking about the weather? Let's just go to the point. But if an American joins a Ukrainian meeting, they might think like, wow, they don't waste time, but are they mad at me? So yeah, American sounds too emotional sometimes. Yeah, like we all know the series when they're overreacting to something, but that's because it's the culture, it's the way they communicate. It's fine. We cannot say it's bad or we are bad or something. No, it's the way people communicate. And if we want to have no misunderstandings and to have good conversations, good communications, we have to adapt to other cultures, not to sound too harsh, too straightforward, or tacky, or something like that. Okay, we covered a lot of ground today, right? Like most of the common mistakes in English communication. So the quick recap, everything. Small talk matters. Literal translation leads to awkward moments. Balancing direct and politeness, it's the key. Grammar mistakes aren't just technical, they can change meaning. Clarification and follow-ups prevent miscommunication. And what else was that? Yeah, active listening builds real connection. Also, choosing the right words, not too simple, not too complex, is crucial. Cultural difference impact how we communicate. And also throughout our conversation, we talked about feedback. Passive feedback reception doesn't work. You need to engage. You need to show that you're really listening. So now here's the good news. These mistakes can all be fixed. And if you want to improve your communication skills even further, we got some special thing for you. Put the plus in the chat if you are ready for it. I mean, I'm going to say something great. So put the plus in the chat. Let's show me that you're engaged with my speaking. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Oh, amazing. That looks so good. Okay. I want to start with this picture. Oh, yeah. And by the way, now we're switching back into Ukrainian for the final part. And let's talk how you can take your English skills to the next level with something I prepared for you. Так, ага, все, переключились. Тепер українською. В чаті також можемо, але в принципі можете і англійською, і українською писати. Я якось дві мови знаю, тому таке. На цій картинці ми всі були там, на цьому місці, коли ти розумієш, що потрібно рухатись вперед, але щось тебе постійно зупиняє. Да? Ти відкриваєш вакансії, бачиш, що крізь потрібна англійська. Ти чуєш колег, які вільно говорять на мітингах і думаєш, от би так, да? От я також так хочу. От якщо от в мене буде колись там B2, C1, C2, от я також так буду. І ти розумієш, що потрібно покращити свою англійську, але постійно відкладаєш, тому що піти на курс – це час, це робити домашку, це ходити на уроки. Але саме так виглядає зона комфорту. Знаєте, вона наче коло, яка на цьому слайді, тому ми можемо бігти, намагатись рухатись, але все одно ми залишаємось на цьому місці. І найгірше, що це зручно. А чого ні? Це ж зручно. Я рухаюсь вперед, круті проекти, краща зарплата десь там, але мені просто тут комфортно. Але основний фокус – це зробити саме перший крок. Це не так страшно, не переживайте. І далі я розкажу, як це зробити максимально легко. Ви вже знаєте, що англійська в роботі – це не просто must-have, а ключ до нових можливостей. Але що робити, якщо ви маєте не так багато часу, не встигаєте ходити на уроки? Саме для цього ми в нашій школі придумали Solid Boost Pack. Але що робити, якщо ви не знаєте, чи вам це підійде? Да? Легко спробувати це безкоштовно. Ми даємо вам 7 днів повного доступу до всіх матеріалів бібліотеки, а це 100 плюс відеокурсів з професійної комунікації. Це курси для IT-креатив-фахівців, тобто абсолютно універсально. Це живий чат з тічерами та підтримкою 24/7. Та щомісячні оновлення до нові курси, тому що нащо стопоритись на одному місці. Правильно, тільки що говорили про то колесо. До речі, лінк на трайл-доступ вже є в нашому з вами телеграм-каналі, через який ви потрапили на цей вебінар, тому просто переходьте, реєструйтесь і починайте дивитись відео вже зараз. Спробуйте, поклацайте, подивіться, чи це те, що вам потрібно. Ніяких зобов'язань, просто можливість перевірити, як це працює для вас. Тобто, і також дуже важливо показати, як це виглядає. Exactly. Тобто, коли ви переходите по ліночці trial, ви побачите How to Communicate Professional, обкладинка курсу, 7-day trials, і спершу відкрий мені. Дуже зручна штучка, яка пояснює, як саме робити все це, щоб не загубитись, куди жмать, куди клацать, куди переходить і так далі. Також ви можете відкрити повний, як це правильно сказати, повну складову курсу. І тут важливий момент, що уроки можна проходити у будь-якому порядку. Ну, наприклад, не хочете ви сьогодні говорити про small talk, вже все. Тому, пройдіть plans and goals of the project і все буде good. Типу, нічого такого. Тож, а що ж ви отримуєте від Solid Boost Pack? Це не просто класні курси, які можна посидіти, подивитись. Це серйозна складова, яку ми пропрацювали разом з методистами і професіоналами в IT-тек-сфері, бізнес-сфері. По-перше, це English for IT Specialists. Якщо ви тільки починаєте в IT, хочете нарешті розібратись з термінологією, то це курс пояснює 100 плюс ключових фраз, граматичних структур, які реально використовуються в IT. Тобто супер важлива штучка. Далі це How to Professional English, як нетворкатись, як проходити performance review, як відповідати на фідбек, як не робити всі ці помилки, про які я сьогодні говорила. То цей курс – це практичний гайд з ключових комунікаційних ситуацій на роботі, тому супер практична штука. Також Grammar Boost, це просто, знаєте, як золоте джерело цього курсу, це прям amazing, це вишенька на торті, Grammar Boost. Це всі часи англійської мови, плюс Passive Voice, чітко, структуровано, з прикладами, поясненнями, коли який час, коли яка грема потрібна в робочій комунікації, без цих, знаєте, пояснень на 150 листів А4. Також це Language Toolkit Course English for Designers. Це релевантно для UI, UX-дизайнерів, брендінг, motion design. Якщо ви працюєте в креативній сфері, цей курс допоможе, в принципі, ефективно презентувати ідеї. Тобто це не просто поговорити про види фонтів, види кольорів і види форм. Ні, це як презентувати ідеї, як брифінгувати клієнтів, пояснювати дизайн рішення англійською і так далі. Також Partners Investors Communication. Це бізнес-комунікаційна англійська, розроблена спільно з останнім капіталістом. Це ж клас! Про те, як проводити переговори, презентувати ідеї та працювати з інвесторами англійською. І Conditional Speaking. Це міні-курс по умовним реченням. Всі ми знаємо ці conditionals, прості господі. Усі типи conditional structures, пояснення просто, зрозуміло, без плутанини. Навіть моя собака Річі зрозумів, що там треба робити. Тому такі діла. Тобто все структуровано, без води, тільки реальні кейси, практика, корисно. І це навчання підлаштовується під вас, тому що, знову ж таки, всі ці уроки можна проходити взагалі в рандомному порядку. Тобто ви обираєте, як вам навчатись, а не ми для вас. А тепер найприємніша частина. 20% знижка. Клас. Отже, ви спробували Trial Solid Boost Pack або плануєте. І якщо вам це зайшло, є чудова новина. До кінця березня у нас діє знижка 20%. Але як це працює? До 31 березня придбати підписку 20%. І тут дуже важливо зробити не лише щось корисне для себе, а й підтримати важливу ініціативу. Тому що в нас березень працює акція «Навчаєшся сам, допомагаєш захисницям». З березня Solid English School офіційно підтримує громадську організацію «Землячки», ініціативу, яка допомагає українським військовим жінкам на фронті. І як це працює? Ви, напевно, чули про каву в кав'ярнях для військових. От ми взяли цей принцип і адаптували його для освіти. Тобто за кожен придбаний курс в березні ми надаємо 2-місячну підписку на Solid Boost Pack одній українській захисниці. Отже, коли ви інвестуєте в свою освіту, ви ще й допомагаєте тим, хто щодня боронить нашу країну. А це, я вважаю, дуже важливо. Добре, але якщо ви мені скажете, Аліна, це, звісно, все хорошо, але я граматику і так знаю, всі ці теми і так знаю, мені треба більше спікінгу. Я скажу, sure guy, в мене є приємна новина. Вау, це у нас є. Поспікаємо ком'юніті з розмовною практикою. Тому що вчити англійську без практики, це, знаєте, як готуватись до марафону на біговій доріжці. Вроді бігу, а вроді нашу. Да? Ми знаємо, що найкраще працює – це реальна комунікація. Тому ми створили унікальне рішення. Це спільнота «Поспікаємо». Що це таке? Ми переосмислили підхід до спікінг-клабів і зробили щось набагато ефективніше. По-перше, в нас є телеграм-спільнота. Тут ви бачите скріншоти, от я наскрінула сьогодні, де кожен день наші викладачі і методисти публікують актуальні новини, якісь ігрові завдання, виклики, дискусійні теми, челенджі. Тобто, щоб, знаєте, як поза уроками, тому не уроками, а session-speaking-клабами, ви ще й практикували англійську у спільноті з такими ж цілями і goals, як і є у вас. Також, щотижневі зустрічі, тобто ці спікінг-клаби з викладачами. У нас є уроки як з local teacher'ем, так і з native teacher'ем. Все про нетворкінг, інтерактиви, професійні поради щодо тем, які там є. Не думайте, там не тільки бізнес IT, там ще є трошки general English, тобто все максимально адаптивно. Також групки проходять як протягом тижня, так і на вихідних, тобто це не просто, хочу знову ж таки підкреслити, це не просто спікінг-клаб, це реальне середовище, де ви вчитесь думати англійською, спілкуватись без страху і просто кайфувати від цього процесу, тому що нащо робити щось, що нам не подобається. І давайте чесно, скільки разів ви починали вивчати англійську і кидали, типу, ну ладно, потім. Ну, курс, ну, потім десь, ладно, з Нового року, з понеділка, з весни, з літа, з осені. Бо нудно, нема практики, нема часу, взагалі нема всього. Ну, все, це більше не виправдання. Бо, знаєте, ми зібрали це рішення, яке реально працює. Це Solid Boost Pack плюс поспікаємо ком'юніті. Вау, amazing, да? Тобто тоді ми брали Solid Boost Pack зі знижкою 20%, а якщо ви вирішите ще взяти поспікаємо, то це вже буде знижечка 25%. Чому це не просто черговий курс? Тому що я розумію, як це може зараз виглядати, прийшла там рекламує. Ні, насправді це не так. Solid Boost Pack – це, от ви любите Netflix, ви любите дивитись YouTube, оце як Netflix для англійської, тільки з реальними робочими темами, відосами, практикою і так далі. А поспікаємо – це місце, де ви говорите, а не просто слухаєте пасивно. А це дуже важливо. Тож, це не курс, який ви почнете з понеділка, а знову ж таки, я підкреслюю, це середовище, у якому ви нарешті заговорите. І ось вам знак, якщо ви чекали знак зверху, ось знак мінус 25% знижечка. Тож, да, хочу підкреслити, тому, да. Тож, якщо у вас залишились будь-які запитання, you are welcome, ready на них відповісти. А які там теми? Хочеться більше комунікації по робочих темах, не тільки як подорожувати. Господі, то, звісно. Давайте так, ми не говоримо на теми, давайте сьогодні перекладемо 25 видів вілок, 3 види медведі і 45 слів, як сказати «it's raining outside». Ну, типу, на що? Ми обговорюємо теми, які реально імплементувати повсякденне життя в робоче середовище і не тільки. Тому, знову ж таки, це максимально адаптивно. Time management, burnout, something about psychology, also agile, тобто безліч всього. Тож, ще питання. Давайте, так довго готувались, давайте, I'm ready. Якщо нема питань, можете просто поставити плюсики, якщо все good. Угу. І питання плюсиків нема, це значить good, це значить amazing. Вау. Окей. Окей. Угу. Lovely. Link. Посилання на 7-day trial. Знаходиться у нас в телеграм-каналі. В телеграм-каналі, через який ви реєструвались на цей міт. Там знаходиться ліночка, через яку ви можете перейти і зареєструватись на 7-day trial. Угу. What Telegram channel? Називається English with Solid. English with Solid. Мгм. Didn't register channel. Мгм. Корпоративні пропозиції через Курсера, я через Udemy. Udemy, да. Мгм. Окей. Так, і тут десь допомога свише, знаєте. Аліна, дай Ліночку. Мгм. Окей. Супер. Good. Ще питання. Вау, Аліна, це було так класно, так зрозуміло, питань нема. Good. Good for us. Давайте ще секундочку посиджу, подумаємо. Окей. Lovely. Тож, thanks a lot. Oh, thank you for my lovely audience today. Знаєте, це було так дивно. Як викладач я звикла, що тут багато людей може сидіти, що якийсь фідбек, що я там з кимось комунікую. Да, і тут бачу себе, бачу. Вау, це amazing. That was lovely. Thank you so much. Тож, якщо нема питань, дякую велике сьогодні за активність в чаті. Мені подобались ваші плюсики, ваші реакції, ваші запитання і навіть трошки жартів про смолтоки. Це я зацінила, класно. Тож, have a nice evening and see you when I see you guys. Bye.